Attention Caribbean authors and creators. Are you looking to elevate your literary journey? This is Kevin George, your host and presenter from TLC Tropical Literature Creatives, and I'm thrilled to share an exciting opportunity with you, introducing our bespoke promotional services designed exclusively for authors of Caribbean heritage. Whether you're a seasoned professional or a rising star, we're here to amplify your voice. From getting the word out about your book launch, your self-publishing services, or workshops, to sharing services that you offer to fellow authors and creatives. Visit our website or reach out to us today to explore how we can tailor our expertise to showcase your literary brilliance. Let's unlock the next chapter of success together. Greetings, listenership. Welcome to TLC Tropical Literature Creatives, the podcast where we interview authors of Caribbean heritage about themselves and about their literary works. Some of the authors you've heard of, and some of them you'll be hearing about soon enough. Today, joining us is Jay Delano Manganoo, a multi-talented individual who has made significant contributions in the world of dance. Jay is a renowned dancer, instructor, artistic director, a writer, and life coach. With a wealth of experience and expertise in the field, he's pretty much established himself as a national and regional dance champion. His skills and passion have pretty much earned him, the recognition that he has among his peers and among the communities in which he has involved himself. Not only is he an accomplished dancer, but he's also a published author, which is one of the main reasons he is here with us today. In his book, DM Inspirational Collection of Quotes, he showcases his wisdom and insights, and he encourages readers to embrace their potential to live a fulfilling life. In addition to his artistic pursuits, he has a deep understanding of dance physiology and anatomy. His qualifications in the field provide him with a unique perspective, allowing him to optimize performance and prevent injuries in dancers. Through his various roles and accomplishments, Jay, he continues to inspire and empower individuals in all walks of life. And we're truly privileged to have him here as our guest this morning. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Jay Delano Manganoo.
Hello, good morning.
Hi, good morning, Jay.
Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for agreeing to be interviewed, Jay. For the persons who are tuning into this podcast at this point in time, can you indicate which Caribbean island you have an affiliation with?
Well, I have an affiliation with, of course, Trinidad and Tobago, St. Lucia, Barbados, St. Kitts, Antigua and Barbuda, Guadeloupe, the French Isles, Bahamas, and also persons in Jamaica.
Okay. Um, in terms of Trinidad and Tobago, let's just use that one. I usually like to ask, or rather give a scenario to persons who are being interviewed. Imagine I'm coming to Trinidad and Tobago for the first time, and you're here, and we meet each other in the airport. What would you recommend that I try? What place would you recommend that I visit? Anything?
Well, the first place I would recommend that you try is my dance studio, to be honest. Yeah. I'm going to give you the world of culture right there: music, dance, and drama. My studio.
Okay. Hands down, G. Hands down. All right. In terms of the there are a lot of questions that I have. I mean, obviously, your book is the topic that the main reason that you would have been invited to the podcast. But as I did my research and I found out more and more about you, I mean, you have a number of titles, which kind of makes you stand out, as well as the number of how should I put this, events or functions you've also found yourself in as well. A term that I came across with, and I have to admit it's the first time that I came up with, is dance sport. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, indeed, I'll be happy to. So, dance sport is the highest form of dance. It is when dance becomes an Olympic or athletic activity, and persons compete. They do heats just like track and field or javelin. They do heats, they enter finals, they train just like any other athlete, conditioning training, flexibility training, and we actually have official dance sport athletes in the world. I myself am an official dance sport athlete with
Mhm,
WDSF, which is the World Dance Sport Federation. They are the
mhm,
governing body that organizes dance sport and plays an important part in all the rules and regulations across the globe.
I didn't know that, and that's really refreshing to know. I had no idea that dance, could be taken to that level because we hear about like, like you mentioned, you made the comparison between track and field, and here it is that you're telling me that there's the same thing, but for dance. So and
Yeah. Scientists have also discovered that a professional dancer spins faster than a CD, and then it requires a lot of upper body strength, lower body strength. In order for us to maintain our legs, we still have to jog, we still have to go on treadmills, we still have to do weightlifting, we still have to do multiple jumping jacks to maintain our energy level. So yeah.
that is impressive and really informative at the same time. I mean, who would have thought? I usually shy away from it, but as you mention it, you describe it like this, it sounds like, dance could be the equivalent of, some persons do boxing to keep fit. I can just
Mhm.
join a dance group, to
Yeah,
get a certain level of fitness as well.
correct.
In terms of all the titles that I would have mentioned, life coach, artistic director, and all of those titles, um, all those experiences that you would have gone through, did they contribute to this writing that you would have done, this collection of quotes?
Yes, because obviously I would have put myself in different communities, different cultures, different countries. So I would have met different people. And in some of my interviews, I do make mention that my quotes were inspired by conversations, looking on at people's experiences, and even my own experiences through my self development. And I, for one, all of these titles, as we use, I normally love studying and learning just for my self development first, and
Mhm.
then I apply it to help in my community.
Okay, so it sounds like you're a really social individual. You don't just, dancing isn't just about yourself. You have to interact with persons and, like you say, talk. And there's a rapport between the persons who you interact with and you share and who you also teach as well.
Yes, and I believe that communicating first and being assertive helps you to become a much better teacher or leader. That's the only way the lesson will become more impactful. So I have to be sociable.
I'm just curious, in the classes that you teach, are there a lot of men in your classes or are they mainly women?
Well, it depends on the genre. So let's say like the ballroom dancing, because there's a balance scale which is needed for male and female. You have men that are there, and I teach different types of dances. But let's say like for a class like the contemporary class or a Bollywood class, you mainly have the females. So the balance is dependent on the genre, and each genre brings a specific energy. But because ballroom dance, it's mandatory that men should be in it to dance with the lady. The man is the lead, the lady is the follower. It attracts more men when it comes to that genre.
I mean, the reason I asked that is because, I mean, you mentioned, taking the lead and being assertive. And I was wondering if it's a dance class that you're talking about or if it's a leadership class that you're talking about, because those are qualities and characteristics that you mainly find that persons would want to have in a leader.
Yes,
I mean, I am learning so much by talking about you just from the world of dance. I can obtain a certain level of physical fitness and I can also grow socially as well. So
yeah.
look at
And
that.
even in the dance classes, I do try to apply my life coaching and
Mhm.
also the physiology aspect of uh, my studies, because that's why I actually studied physiology and anatomy and dance, to really help the student to
Mhm.
understand there's certain things you may or may not be able to do based on your body type, and there's certain things I can help you do or achieve
Mhm.
based on the anatomy of your body and understanding how your body works. And that's going to make the student feel more free and confident by helping them to understand how their body system works.
Uh,
Because I always say not every great dancer could lift their leg up in the air or do a split. That doesn't make you a great dancer. So while someone is really good at flexibility and their joints, top line, there may also be someone that's really good at styling or rhythm or tunes or balance or precision or speed. So it varies. So I use my anatomy and physiology education and
Mm-hmm.
apply it in the dance sport. And I also use life coaching because when we go way back to life coaching in the 1980s, life coaches were actually used first for sportsmen,
Ah,
right? To gear them up and encourage them and help them set their sporting goals to get that gold medal. And then after, it was more marketed and implemented to different things like family life and business people. So that was the first, as to say, activity or productivity in terms of using a life coach. So I tend to implement that as well in the dancing for dance performers and dance competitors.
no, I think that's a really intelligent move because it seems like you're using like, I mean, I mentioned a whole bunch of titles before, but it seems like using disciplines that you'd have learned in one field and applying it to another to get maximum effect. And as you mentioned a little bit about the history of life coaching, I myself, I didn't know that. And I could really see the effectiveness of a life coach in getting the best performance out of an athlete, or in your case, the best performance out of your students who would have joined the classes, etc.
Yes, yes, yes. And I remember growing up in school and I was never good at mathematics. And I know a lot of people sometimes come to say, like, what we've learned in maths, I don't know. How do we apply it? And I always tell people now that, after becoming a life coach and seeing life in depth and other people's experiences, everything that you have learned to absorb in the brain,
Hmm.
try to apply it as a life lesson because it must be useful. And that also teaches us a lesson that sometimes we may be wasting time on frivolous things that may not be beneficial to our life or space. So everything that we do, make sure we do it with intent. So everything that I have to learn now, even if I'm getting back into my equestrian training with horses,
Hmm.
it's my new hobby now. I need to make sure, how is this intentful? How is it benefiting me? Is it providing therapy for me? Am I learning something new? Am I learning to appreciate animals? You know? So everything that we do, I think, whether we do it academically, creatively, we need to make sure that it is with intent and it's also beneficial to our lives and our families and communities.
You mentioned equestrian training, and I'm just looking at all the titles that you would have that you would have acquired so far. In terms of writing the book, was it just like something that you had just intended to do?
Right. Well, I intended to actually write first for therapy because I also have a journal, and I always tell people journaling is an inexpensive way of finding therapy. So that's what I started doing first, just writing quotes, being creative, and using those quotes to apply to my life, allowing it to refresh me, to renew me. And after a while, I've had so much quotes all around in books, on my phone, in my email, Gmails. I was like, I need to put this to use because I would share it with others and they would love it. And then during that COVID period, it allowed me to think and make the final decision. Hey, let me put it into a book. And then my publishers also helped me and say, because you're a life coach, let's do a journal and let's connect the journal to the book of quotes. So cohesively, it was a remarkable decision,
Hmm.
and I am in love with my work. I must say that. And I'm glad I did it.
Uh, how has the reception been for your work? Have you shared out like your book of quotes and your journals to students who you would have had, or are there other persons, other professionals like yourself who would have wanted to get copies to just get insights as well?
Yes, it's been going great, and something that I really like and admire is that I never thought that, there would be certain persons of a particular educational caliber that would actually take it seriously. But interestingly, I have people who are doctors and lawyers and so on that love my book and they find it quite beneficial. Persons from England and Canada and the USA have bought the books. And I also have my Caribbean community, which I am ever so grateful for, from all the other islands. They have been buying the books. And I'm another thing is that my largest market right now are seniors. And they are a blessing to the land. I must say that because seniors to me, after learning so much about them and teaching them, they appreciate a lot of things. And I mean, it makes sense because they've been living on this earth longer. So they took the time to appreciate. And even though they're seniors, they're taking the time to still learn from a younger person like myself. So I just find that quite impressive.
No, it's really good to hear about the reception of your books and the impact that it is making. Your book, well, first off, I'm not even going to ask if you're a full-time writer because with the list of things that you have to do, it's obvious that it's not something that you do full-time. But the book that you wrote, is it self-published or did you go through traditional publishing channels?
Well, for me, I went through Amazon. They're a great publishing company. It is self-published, but they were able to obviously assist me in the structures of certain things.
And did they offer services in terms of editing, the designing of the book cover, or was that something that you would?
Yes, they offered different concepts of editing, different concepts of the book and pictures, but everything in the book I had to screen it. Every word, every concept, the color, the black and white concept with the gold, my face on it, everything I had to make sure and screen it. So, and I think I worked well with them. And if I have to do another book, I would definitely work out again with them, which I have of course, is one of my goals to do another book, and this time for children.
How did you find out about them?
Actually, I was searching for information on people that are, you know, involved in helping authors generally. And there was an American group, there was a Bayesian Institute, and I've had numerous interviews with other publishing companies. But I'm an energy person. And this company consists of a couple, a husband and wife. And they were very organic and they came on. And what I love is that he does the graphics, she does the editing. So they work hand in hand. And then, of course, they asked a few questions. And I like the fact that they welcomed my personality. They welcomed my personality. It was a very comfortable setting, conversation. And immediately after the first meeting, I said, yes, I'm going to choose you guys to assist me in getting this book done. And by February the 20th, I always say it, that book was finished. And February the 20th is the date of my birthday.
Ah,
So in 2 weeks, I'm going to be celebrating my 1 year anniversary because last year the book was launched.
ah. I mean, if it's one thing I'm kind of picking up on when it is that you talk about your experiences, that you're an energy person, that you're a people person. I mean, the fact that you have to train persons, you have to be around people. And here it is, you're talking about a publisher. There are a bunch of other publishing individuals who you would have encountered, but you said the persons who you're interacting with, you liked, the energy that you got from them, the interactions that you all had. And this is one of the factors that led to your decision. So yeah, energy seems to be, one of your trademarks.
Yeah, another trait that I liked, let me tell you why I like people being honest, and I'm always honest with my students, is that I would have given information that I preferably like within my opinion, but then I respect, hey, I am not the publisher. So sometimes I tell people, what do you think eh, based on your expertise? Because there's a reason why I'm paying you, because I can't do it. You understand?
Hmm.
So I could have said, okay, I don't like your idea. I want all my ideas. But I like the fact that they taught me, this is clever. This is wise to do. You could be more pragmatic here. You could be a bit more creative here. And I was able to take that constructive criticism because they know what they're doing and I know what I'm doing. And we were able to mesh our energies and skill sets together. And that's how you know that, hey, these are good people to work with because we have to appreciate each other's perspective, although it's one common goal.
Okay. I mean, it's good that you could learn this lesson about the experience when it is that you're getting your book published. So that I guess when it's time to get the other book done, you'd have done it before, so the learning curve wouldn't be as steep.
Yes, and always have this as advice for persons who want to get books out. Always have different opinions and perspectives of people you trust with their expertise because you're bringing a book out there to not for you, you're bringing a book out there for a market, for a community. So it's important to have perspective and take that perspective, and definitely you'll see that your book will be quite promising.
I'm Jay, you're just dropping gems, man. Was that in your book as well, or you just did that one on the fly?
No, no, I do have a quote on perspective. Can't remember the page, but it's in there.
It's in there. So, ladies and gentlemen, you just got some gems there. Buy the book. You'll get some more. Buy the book. I remember on another interview, you were talking with a journalist, and the question that you were asked is that, persons don't, in general, persons don't like to read as much as they used to. What's your view
Mhm.
on something like this, and what advice would you give to try and encourage persons to read a bit more?
Well, first of all, I think in school, our education system, I always say it bravely, I won't say it's bad and I won't say it's good. I think it's lost. And we have been forced to read. We have been forced to read. We have been forced to say, go to the library and this is where you read and this is where you do research. If we start making reading play, if we start making reading therapy, if we start making reading as something that will build and grow your brain and mind and helps you live longer, you see, it's how the content is being produced. So let's start from the education system. We need to start letting people know reading is fun, reading is therapeutic, and reading is not, this book is for everyone. That's craziness because we all have different interests, we all have different walks in life. So I always tell people when I encourage them to read a magazine if you have to, read digital if that's your thing, read a newspaper if that's your thing, uh, read a coloring book. You understand? As long as you learn something from it and it works the brain and keeps the body occupied, right? So I think that's where we start from, encouraging reading as something that's fun and therapeutic. And that's going to help people to read a bit more and also give people information that is as part of their niche. That's going to help them first. Don't force them to read things you want them to read. Encourage people to read something that's part of their niche. And that's why I say you don't have to buy my book, because I know some people don't like quotes, but read something that's, you're attracted to first. And then as you realize, that tends to open your portal and set some level of freedom and understanding from reading, then you can branch off into reading new things or challenge yourself to read new things that is out of your box. So everything is a process. And we always say reading is education, but also reading is therapy. And somebody that write the book is an author who is in creative writing. So at the end of the day, it's part of creativity. And I always say that creativity sustains the world. Creativity, art sustains the world, nothing else. It's a factor. That's why people in so ardent with it. It's part of their culture naturally because they realize that the arts and creativity is the survival of the world and it has sustained us. Just like COVID, we had to be creative to survive. So I want people to keep that in mind. So reading is creativity first more than anything, and it sets you free.
No, that is an interesting perspective, and it kind of leads into a couple of the other questions that I had for you. Well, the first question being, you had mentioned that reading should be based on a person's need, whether it be therapy or whether it be, fun, relaxation, leisure, that sort of
Mhm.
thing. What would your thoughts be if it is that your writings, your book of quotes, and your soul journal were to be put into a package for a group of persons to assist with persons who needed therapy? They said, here's what, there's this book with a bunch of quotes and also an accompanying journal. I'd like you to go through the quotes and based on how the quotes make it, I'd like
Mhm.
you to use to write in that journal. How would you feel if your works were to be adopted for a process like that?
Nice question. Actually, it has already happened. So I
Ah,
have three friends that are psychologists in their practice, and they actually use my journal mostly for their clients because in the journal there are exercises that talks about abundance mindset, scarcity mindset, inexpensive aesthetics to brighten your day, therapeutic methods, management, people management, money management, exercises, and all of those things. Things on empathy, emotional intelligence. So they actually use it and create a fun environment in their therapeutic sessions. Yeah, they actually asked about it and they say, hey, this is great. And they use it as an exercise. So it has been happening actually.
I mean, it's really great that your book has found yourself into these areas where it can actively be used and by individuals like that. So,
Yeah, because while in the beginning the book of quotes were the first was the big seller, and I tried to sell the book of quotes with the journal, a lot of
mhm.
people didn't see the interest in, oh, what's this journal about? I can just buy a copybook or a nice pretty book of my own choice and start journaling. So I was able to make sure that the journal also stands out by itself through the therapy market, and this is how it's being used mostly, and I'm glad.
Okay. No, that I really like that, how it's actively being used. I like that. Um, one of the, I think, in addition to energy, and one of the things that you seem to be associated with is the word creativity. In terms of artificial intelligence, it's becoming a very big thing. If it is that, persons aren't really paying attention to the news, we have ChatGPT and other platforms that are being touted as, very popular right now, and that persons are afraid that they may lose jobs, you know,
Mhm.
and because of a lot of processes being automated, etc. um, Persons who are actually for artificial intelligence, what they're saying is that, it's not here to take away your jobs, but rather it's here to help you do your job. And if it is a
Mm,
person who is creative, it could actually help you to do your job even better. I mean, seeing that creativity is something that you very strongly about. What are your thoughts on using artificial intelligence to help you to do some of the things that you do?
mm. Well, I agree with technology and artificial intelligence. I think it's useful. I think it's part of life. It's relevant in terms of a growing society, making life better. What I would disagree with anything is the imbalance of it, and cheating humankind with it. So I guess as people educate themselves more as to how to cohesively work around it, because we've had workshops for creatives and dancers as to how to use artificial intelligence to develop your business, and to grow. I think we need to make sure we have a balance. And if there's an imbalance, people shouldn't worry, because you need to always remember, from since the inception of the world being created in 7 days, the natural balance of the world will always take a stand. It will always take a stand, and it will always bring a sign to us. Even pollution brings a sign to us that we are suffering the world. Um, Even when people litter, what's going to happen? Flooding happens. It's the natural balance of the world. So whatever you put into the world, naturally, it will come out. So if people have this big imbalance of artificial intelligence, and it's too demanding and people are starting to lose their jobs, that's only going to be for a space of period of time. After a while, uh, sense will come out and they'll be like, we need people, because we are the greatest resource right now. What will the sun do without us? What would water do without us? The world would just be there. So the human resource aspect of things were the greatest asset to the world. We make the world go round. And artificial intelligence was made by a human being. So people shouldn't worry, because the natural process of the world will always represent and show itself.
Is there a section in your book where you talk about artificial intelligence too? Because all this stuff sounds like good material.
No, I haven't, but in the next one, may talk about artificial intelligence. I probably wasn't, all keen or interested in it then, but now it's popping up. Now there are a lot of workshops for creatives and stuff to use artificial intelligence to make things better. So maybe I would put it in.
All right, excellent, excellent. In terms of your books, where can we get copies if you wanted to?
Well, you can get the copies on Amazon, of course. There's Amazon in London and Amazon in the United States. And you can also get a direct copy from me, the author itself. Um, Amazon is basically for the international audience, but the local audience, Trinidad and Tobago, even the Caribbean, when I fly over to the Caribbean islands, you can actually get the copies of the books from me. And I love meeting my readers, signing the books, taking pictures, having conversations, getting to know them. I try to do a monthly book reading at a local cafe once a month, just to promote the cafe's business. And we're also using the ambience and space. And we do book readings where everybody share their favorite quotes and their life lessons from it. And it's a great way to bond and to also promote the book inexpensively. And
Uh,
that's also a good marketing strategy for those who are also having books and coming out. You want to try and use different forums instead of just selling the book, meeting somebody and taking a picture. Just try and have different forums, whether it's an event, a project, or collaborate, with other businesses that are interested. And what I love about the cafe that I use, she has the journal, she has a book of quotes, and she also have my t-shirts. She's a supporter. So, and her name is Shannon at the Perfect Bite Cafe, a very cute cafe in Vistabella, just opposite Ria's.
okay, okay. No, and I like your sense of your business sense there because you spoke about marketing and you spoke about promoting. So, I mean, you have the setting, you have the place where the readings are done, so persons can read the book as well, and they can get their own copy signed by you as well. I like that. I like that.
Yep.
Okay. Well, that pretty much brings us to the end of the interview at this point in time. You've been a really great guest. I have learned a lot, not just about the books that you would have written, but also about dance sport, which I learned could really be, beneficial to myself. So,
Yeah. And that's the last quote in the book, actually. The
oh,
last
that's
quote in the
right.
book is about dancing. And it's about the lesson about dancing. And it talks about the way dancers look down or look up, what they pay attention to or listen to in life from my experiences. It talk about balance, balance like in dance. It talks about connection and disconnection like in dance being freedom, right? So there's so many uh aspects in the book. I also incorporate movement and dance as part of a life lesson to follow.
And we appreciate that. And we look forward to the other book that you're writing. What's your deadline for it, if you don't mind me asking?
I don't set deadlines actually. That's something I don't do because I am so involved in different things. And
Mm-hmm.
especially something as this, creatively, I let it flow. And my quotes, I don't sit down and say, today I'm going to write a quote. No, natural order of my energy. It just spontaneously happens. So that's why I'm always have my notes on my phone. It spontaneously happens. I don't plan to write quotes. And after a while, when I review those quotes and I see, okay, I have a number of quotes here and there, what can I do with it? Then I say, okay, let's publish a book. But I don't have a time frame.
Yeah, thanks for giving us insights into your writing process as well. I know that
Mhm.
it's different for everyone. I mean, some persons they can sit and they can write, but with you, it's all about letting things flow.
Yes.
Is there any advice that you'd like to leave with our listeners?
Advice, advice, advice. Oh boy. Well, a lot of people take advice, they receive advice, they apply advice. For me, I would just like to say, based on what we're talking about here in terms of reading and authorship, I would just like to remind people to remember to read with intent. Don't scatter your brain. Don't give yourself a headache and don't force yourself. Even if it's one line, like a quote, which is convenient and impactful, read with intent. And when you read, make sure that there's some form of action to follow. So it doesn't matter what type of book you read, there's always a lesson behind it. Make sure there's some kind of action, inspiration, or motivation behind it, or lesson learned from it. You don't want to just be accumulating words. Understand? And view reading as having a conversation with your silent mind. That also helps.
Okay. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, and listenership, Jay Delano Manganoo. You've been listening to TLC, Tropical Literature Creators. If you've heard something of interest or something you like, reach out to us. Reach out to our authors. Follow us on social media. We look forward to hearing from you.